For over 1,000 years, one city stood unconquered, Constantinople, the beating heart of the Roman Empire, a city of immense wealth, power, and legend. It had survived everything: barbarian invasions, civil wars, and countless sieges. Its walls were said to be unbreakable, and for centuries, they were. But by the 15th century, this once mighty empire had been reduced to almost nothing. All that remained of Rome was Constantinople itself, isolated, surrounded, vulnerable. And watching from the east was a young ruler with a dangerous ambition. His name was Mehmed II, only 21 years old, but already consumed by one goal: to take Constantinople, not just to conquer it, but to succeed where every army before him had failed, to bring an end to the Roman Empire forever. In 1453, he made his move. Gathering an army of over 80,000 soldiers, he marched toward the greatest fortress on earth. Inside the city, fewer than 8,000 defenders prepared for what they knew was coming. This wasn't a fair fight. It was a siege against time. But Mehmed had something no one else had ever used before: a weapon powerful enough to change the rules of warfare forever. Massive cannons, so large they had to be dragged across land by teams of oxen, taking weeks just to position. When they fired, they didn't just strike the walls, they shook the earth itself. For weeks, Constantinople was bombarded without mercy, day and night. The walls that had stood for centuries began to crack, each explosion tearing away at the city's greatest defense. And each night, the defenders worked in darkness, repairing what they could. But they were losing. Slowly, inevitably, the walls were giving way. Still, the city had one advantage: the sea. A massive chain blocked the entrance to the Golden Horn, preventing enemy ships from entering. As long as that held, Constantinople could not be fully surrounded. But Mehmed had one more move, a move so unexpected it would change everything. He ordered his fleet to be dragged over land. Hundreds of ships pulled across wooden tracks, over hills, through forests, until they reached the waters behind the city. Overnight, Constantinople was surrounded from land and from sea. The final advantage was gone. Inside the city, hope began to fade. Supplies were running low, the walls were weakening, and the enemy was closing in. Then, on May 29th, 1453, it began, the final assault. Before dawn, the Ottoman army attacked. Wave after wave of soldiers surged toward the walls. Arrows filled the sky. Cannons roared. War cries echoed through the darkness. The defenders fought desperately, holding the line, pushing back attack after attack. But they were outnumbered, and exhaustion was setting in. Then, it happened. A section of the wall collapsed, and through that breach, the Ottoman forces poured in. What followed was chaos. Fighting erupted in the streets. The city that had stood for over 1,000 years was being torn apart in hours. At the center of it all stood the last Roman emperor, Constantine XI. He knew the end had come. He removed his royal insignia so that no one would recognize him. And then he charged into battle. He was never seen again. By sunrise, Constantinople had fallen. The great city was no more. Ottoman flags rose above the walls. Hagia Sophia, once the heart of Christian Byzantium, was taken. And just like that, the Roman Empire was gone. Not with a slow collapse over centuries, but in a single day, for over 1,000 years, it had endured. And in the end, even the strongest walls in the world could not hold forever. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more echoes of time.